Black Sea. Late afternoon, 5:11 p.m. The sea was calm. Low swell, light wind, clear visibility. Civilian shipping lanes operated dozens of miles away, completely unaware of what was about to unfold. A NATO naval patrol was operating strictly within recognized parameters. International waters, predictable course, constant speed, nothing out of the ordinary, until, almost simultaneously, 3 Russian warships altered course. The maneuver was not gradual, it was not incidental, it was coordinated. All 3 hulls adjusted heading within the same narrow time window. Lateral spacing tightened, formation compressed. Moments later, speed increased. This was not a navigational correction, it was strategic signaling. Shortly after, NATO sensors detected a far more deliberate action. Fire control radars were activated. Not search radars, not passive systems. Fire control radars designed to track targets with the precision required to guide weapons. No missiles were armed. No launch systems were opened. But the message was unmistakable. The red line was not drawn on the water. It was projected into the electromagnetic spectrum. At that moment, the situation ceased to be routine presence. It became active deterrence. As the warships maintained carefully calculated distance, something less visible began to shift. The electronic environment changed, emissions increased, signals overlapped. Certain frequencies appeared where none had existed moments before, then vanished again. Nothing exploded, nothing went down. But onboard sensors began to disagree. Radar returns conflicted with optical systems. Navigation data showed subtle discrepancies, small enough to ignore individually, but persistent when taken together. This does not indicate malfunction. It indicates controlled interference. In modern warfare, the first domain contested is not land, sea, or air. It is information. Whoever sees more clearly decides sooner, and whoever decides sooner rarely needs to fire. During these minutes, both sides were testing a critical threshold: how far the environment could be pushed without triggering irreversible escalation. No commander wanted to lose control, but no commander wanted to appear to back down. The confrontation was not physical, it was cognitive. At 5:18 p.m., the encounter entered its most dangerous phase. Data feeds began arriving milliseconds later than expected. Automated corrections repeated unnecessarily. Systems attempted to reconfirm inputs that were already validated. No system officially failed, but they stopped agreeing with each other. This is the most hazardous condition in modern military operations, when everything works, but not in the same way. This is where miscalculations occur, and in this context, miscalculations do not require weapons to escalate conflict. For 27 minutes, both sides held firm. Formations remained intact. Radars stayed active. No kinetic action was taken. It was a contest of psychological endurance and technical control. Who would de-escalate first? Who would adjust posture without signaling retreat? Who would allow silence to return without surrendering leverage? At 5:38 p.m., almost as suddenly as it had begun, the environment stabilized. Electronic emissions dropped to baseline levels. Fire control radars reverted to standard surveillance modes. Formations loosened, slowly and deliberately, as if nothing unusual had ever occurred. No alarms sounded. No emergency procedures were triggered. From the outside, the situation appeared routine. There were no official statements, no press releases, no briefings to explain what had just taken place. To the public, nothing happened. But inside the systems, the picture was different. Data reviewed after the encounter revealed subtle inconsistencies. Relative positions between vessels did not perfectly align with earlier records. Certain maneuvers were absent from primary tracking logs, and some sensor readings were never written to permanent storage at all, not erased, not deleted, simply never recorded. This is how modern confrontations often end, not with damage, but with uncertainty. The Black Sea returned to its usual rhythm. Warships resumed their assigned courses. Civilian vessels passed through the area, unaware that, minutes earlier, the operational balance of the region had been quietly tested. No shots were fired, no weapons were launched. Yet the strategic landscape had shifted. Because the red line was not crossed with missiles, it was crossed through environmental control. control of the electromagnetic spectrum, control of perception, control of what systems could see, verify, and trust. And when modern conflicts fall silent, it is not because nothing happened. It is because every critical message was already delivered, clearly, precisely, and without ambiguity. Modern conflicts rarely begin with explosions. They begin with barely perceptible adjustments, minor changes in posture, subtle shifts in signal behavior, quiet tests of how far the environment can be pushed without forcing a response. The most dangerous moments are not always the loudest ones. Sometimes the most dangerous moment in a confrontation is when no one fires, when no one speaks, and both sides fully understand exactly what the other is capable of doing. That is where deterrence truly operates, and that is where the future of warfare is being decided.